Innovation is in our veins. Soon the whole world will know our names. Sharing our knowledge and freedom reign. We here for the people, you know it's our way. Setting foundations is part of the dream. It doesn't matter if you're new to the game. Listen up now, cause we all gon' say, elevate, 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 higher, elevate, 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 higher. We gon' rise up, we all gon' shine. Work through adversity, stay on the grind. Elevate, elevate, this is our time. Elevate, elevate.
Welcome to the Elevate Podcast, everyone. It's so great to have you all on one more time. It's your boy, Josh.
Dalton.
And who the heck is that beside him? Gee.
Whoa.
We have a visitor with us, but he was in town. He's like, hey, can I crash the podcast for an episode? And I was like, sure, why not?
I mean, man, this is my third time here. Third time's a charm.
Yeah, I guess that solidifies you.
I'll be your charmer now.
Yeah. Not another white guy on the podcast.
Oh, no.
I think there's four of us now in the same room. I don't think that's allowed in Canadian law anymore.
Yeah.
Gee. Oh, man.
Not the Canadian law.
Oh, no, we don't want that. So, no, it's great to have you all on. We are going to be kind of chatting through a variety of different things tonight. Specifically, things that are going on with banking systems in the States and how it's going to kind of reach up here a little bit. And we're going to get into some provincial politics stuff, which there's some spice being dropped. And so, as I said, Reg is here just because he was in town. He wanted to stick around.
He's here.
He wanted to add a voice, and he's fun to talk to. So, he was like, yeah, I guess may as well. You're here. Bring you on. Nothing special here. We're just here to have the talks. So, we're going to keep this flow going. Thank you all for joining. Don't forget that we do have a Thursday episode if you are interested in joining and being part of our membership. We'd love to have you. We'll be talking about home. Oh my gosh. Remind me again.
The FHSA.
What the heck is even that?
What the heck is even that?
The first time home buyer savings account.
Boom. Exactly. We'll be getting into that for Thursday's episode. So looking forward to having you over there. But today, let's get into some drama. We got Tim Houston, who's like, hey, Trudeau, you suck. We our premier of Nova Scotia just came out and shots fired to the federal government. So we have a video here. We'll play that out and
I love it.
We'll jump right into it. This is like he's getting right into it about how we can try to green our grid here in Nova Scotia and how essentially the federal government's not doing anything to help us. So, but they'll carbon tax us to death. That's what he said. So
all right,
let's go.
Honestly.
Okay, Timmy
Timbits.
That's a good name.
This week, a Scottish company named Sustainable Marine that has been active in Nova Scotia and specifically active in the communities around Digby for the last few years posted a small notice on the bulletin board in Robichaud's general store. A small notice with big ramifications. Sustainable Marine, the company that has been producing energy from the tides of Digby, is packing up and moving on. Tidal power holds so much potential for Nova Scotia. Tapping into the power of the tides around us has the potential to change our economy and ultimately make Nova Scotia a leader in clean, green energy. The work Sustainable Marine has been doing is incredibly important for our province and really for our country, as Nova Scotia has the potential to produce massive amounts of the clean, green energy that the world needs. Why then is Sustainable Marine packing it in? Well, the federal government shut them down. The federal department dragged its feet so long that the company is leaving. It's ridiculous. This is a massive blow to the tidal industry in our region and a massive blow to moving Nova Scotia and the country towards a greener grid. Shame on the federal government. You likely know from the media that the federal government is excited about reaching into your pocket and taking your money in the name of a carbon tax. This carbon tax will cost you more, but does little to protect the environment. Yet when faced with real opportunities to make a meaningful, positive change, like tapping tidal power to the green energy grid, an opportunity like the one Sustainable Marine is creating, it's shut down. It makes no sense. I stand against the carbon tax. I stand with the real opportunities of the tidal and wind energy that can truly green our grid and transform our economy in a very positive way. Where do you stand?
I know.
Wow, what an icon.
Yeah.
He really did that. Did he tag him?
Yeah. It's tagged in the comments. So I saw this the other night.
Oh,
and I
limited. Oh,
not he didn't, but in the comments, people are like Justin P. Trudeau. Like,
nice.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
So I saw this the other night and sent this to Josh. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, Tim came after JT.
Yeah, I mean, the companies are kind of talking about essentially Well, that's technology we've been trying to get going in this province for a long time and
Yeah.
trying to get funding for, because we've talked about it time and time again. Tidal energy, wind energy are could be huge staples in this province as part of the world and be self-sustaining. Yet, do you understand what the reasoning was of like what was the federal government's role in what happened here?
I don't know what the federal government's role is this, because I actually like tried to look it up a little bit later, and it's kind of convoluted. So go figure.
Yeah.
There's no government employees to help me. Give them a call. Yeah. But anyway, basically the idea with tidal power in the Bay of Fundy is like, if you put something in stream, it's going to get eaten because the strength, the sheer force of the waves are just like taking everything out. So what they're doing that's interesting in Digby was actually looking at smaller generation of tidal power that actually could be viable. And then for it to be shut down is like, it actually is exactly what he said. It's a huge blow to the economy, because like you look at provinces in the country that focus on energy. Like you have Quebec with Hydro-Quebec that pulls in, billions in revenue. You look at how well Alberta did with their energy sector. Like that's where Nova Scotia needs to go. They need to get into energy. They need to get in quickly and into green energy, because that's the meal of the day right now. So anyway, so yeah, he's right. It is a huge blow, and it's kind of a lost opportunity if they don't get behind it. So when I saw that, I was just like, good for you.
I also love the strategic. Is his office always right here? Because like the waving Canada flag is like incredible in the background. It's like how patriotic. Like
Yeah.
Someone loves this country.
No, but it's interesting that. So Marine, is it Marine? What was the name of the company?
Sustainable Marine.
Sustainable Marine. Is that the only location that they specifically operate? Because I know there's others around Nova Scotia, right? Is that the only one that they specifically operate as a company?
We're understanding like they were looking to expand, I believe. is
Yeah.
what they started.
Right,
to do,
they
so,
want-
Yeah.
So they've got now a sour taste in their mouth. Like this, they won't expand now, basically.
Well, that's just been the mantra of this government since day one, is the amount of people who've been wanting to invest in Canada, and just said
Yes, sour taste.
dealing with the
like,
government's
and
just
then
brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's not cheap to do what they're doing. So why wouldn't, like, it's a business. They're going to go somewhere where they can be respected, grow.
What question then? I'll put it to both of you. Is why do you think the government has made it so hard for private investment, for things that the government's stated they're on board with the green economy? Like why do you think this is? They keep dragging their feet on stuff.
I don't know if it's so much dragging their feet. Like in this case, because I know from environmental law that like federal water or federal jurisdiction is on water, right? So,
Right.
So many feet away from the shoreline, that becomes federal jurisdiction, and that's where your tidal power is happening. So it's like if they're just not getting things pushed through, and they're just taking forever, and they're not prioritizing this because they've got too many other things to worry about, which may or may not be priorities. That's probably what happened, is what I'm guessing. So I could be totally wrong, but I would say that it's probably some jurisdiction stuff where they have to get lawyers involved and figure out like, can we put this thing in the water? Is it going to disrupt fish habitat and yada,
Right.
yada, yada. And so like, cause that seems to be like the major block for a lot of energy projects in the country, is like, you have so many layers of regulation and consultation and things to go through. And in some cases it's warranted. And in other cases, it's just like, you have to think about the trade-off here. Like Nova Scotia runs on coal, one of the dirtiest energy forms that you can go with. And you're looking at something like clean energy. It's like, you know what? Like if a couple fish habitats are destroyed, that's the trade-off for the energy. Like there's no way you're going to get energy that doesn't have a trade-off. Like, and that's the unfortunate thing, is like people will protest and they'll sit in their homes with the air conditioning going and the lights on and be like, that's just terrible. We shouldn't have that. And it's like, well, where do you think the energy you're getting right now comes from? It comes from coal fire. And how do you think that affects the environment? It's horrible. It's horrible to human health. It's horrible to the health of the environment. But people don't seem to think about that because it's already there, right? And it's also that NIMBYism, right? Well, we're not in Cape Breton. We're not at the Duncan coal mine. We're not in Canso watching it, be burned and then billowing out into the sky. So we don't care.
And isn't there an observable difference in people who live near, say, Canso, for example, of like their breathing, asthma, COPD, things like that?
Yeah,
it's observable.
It's cancer. It's respiratory issues. It's actual life expectancy. Like it's horrible.
And so then it's like fish or humans, like what's the
Yeah.
You're okay. You know, it's so strange that.
Well, it's what I said. It's a trade-off, right?
Yeah.
It's like, what trade-off are you willing to accept? And ideally, you say whatever trade-off has the lowest impact on people, the planet, and, you know, the pocketbook too, because that unfortunately comes into play. There's no way around it. So, you know, when you think about that, it's like, okay, we have to balance that with the fact that, you know, we are currently running on a system that isn't sustainable. So how do we get there? Well, unfortunately, we're going to have to make some tough choices.
Right.
But
yeah, it reminds me back to, you know, we just released a clip today about the ESG comment we made a couple episodes ago. And a comment someone made is like, wow, of course, these guys are always talking about how, you know, like they always go back to the electric car debate. You know, what's the life cycle of electric car? You're not acting like as if you're giving us any solutions of how to move forward. And I'm like, there's all kinds of ways we can make money, all kinds of ways we can sustain our economy, and at the same time still do well by the environment. What we're doing right now is not good. We are using more destructive forces to, you know, feign green when we're actually not doing those things. And that's the issue I have in general, specifically with the electric car situation. I'm a little, as well, the solar panel debate too, is the amount of minerals that have to be mined for these things. Like, these are things I want us to start having a conversation around. It's like, is there any way we can work around not having to destroy our planet in order to make it better? Is that my question? Right. And anyways, I got off track of why I asked the question in the first place. Because we talked about, you know, I'm kind of asking why the government keeps giving us a hard time, or give industry a hard time, when it tends to not be their idea at times. I don't know. I understand what's going on there. I know we talked a little earlier today, Reg, where we were discussing how the government will pay tons of money for consultants, but not give their full-time employees much. You said that, right?
yeah, that is. Yeah.
Well, why do you think that's the case? Why do you think they keep strategizing that way?
I think there's just like a lack of trust in their own employees. I really do. I think that, you know, they look at it and they say, well, we'll just send it to a consultant. They'll have it done within a certain timeline. We know that we can expect it, and we hold them like contractually liable to have this done at this point in time. So I think there's an expedience to it. And I think that there's just like a lack of good faith in the public service. And I think that we're seeing that right now from the public with the protests that are happening, because I sent you that today.
Yeah. Timbits thrown at them.
Yeah. It was.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Like,
they were. I noticed. I drove down, I guess it's Cogswell, maybe? I'm not sure. Anyway, I come up toward Barrington by Scotia Square, and they had roads blocked today. Like, they were blocking streets. I thought, that's a development. That's new.
Yeah, definitely. And people aren't happy about it. Like, people aren't really warming up to the protests. And on one hand, I'm like, I totally get it. Like, everybody should have a fair wage. On the other hand, when you read like some of the things that were proposed, like a 9% wage increase, I'm like, 9%?
I've fallen more into your category where, like, a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, I was like, I get it. Like, my thesis or my theory was, if I'm watching the federal government give themselves raises, bonuses, things like that, I want a slice of the cake too. But I looked into what the slice of cake they wanted is, and now I'm like, no, now you're disrupting my day, and I don't like what you're asking for.
Yeah, because they're looking for a 9% raise increase with work from home. And like
that's the kicker.
And like that's the part that I have a problem with. Like,
yeah,
I like having a flexible workspace. Right now I'm a researcher, so I get to work from home part of my week and then work from the office the other part of the week. And it's great, but at the same time, I'm not handling people's private personal information. And like, what's to say, you know, Donna Sue isn't at home, you know, doing her thing, and, you know, has somebody's private information up, and her husband comes by and looks at it and reads it, and he's got, you know, access to somebody's private information.
We talked about that on the show when I called CRA. The call says the person you're talking to is working from home and using a personal mobile device. And I was like, and then she asked for my SIN.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what if you have a nefarious person in your home that was listening? What if you're on speakerphone? I just gave my SIN, birthday, and my address. That's all you need.
Yeah, for identity theft. And what if it's not even the person being nefarious, but like just not secure, just not good with data security?
Yeah. Either way, I don't want other people to know that information.
Yeah.
Someone made that point online on an Instagram post about it, and they said no one who was handling sensitive information was working from home. And of course, I didn't have it in me to go back and forth with this person on the internet about how I literally had that lived experience of that happening. And I was like, they really just want to work from home.
Yeah.
That's a much larger portion of the strike than I think I gave merit to in the beginning. They really want to work from home.
Yeah. I've talked to a few people who are kind of involved to some degree, whether they're working within the union or they're kind of higher up in some of these roles and kind of understanding more what's going on. One thing that came up was when they kind of they demanded everyone come back to work, which essentially got these debates going and got this protest going in the first place. Was the reason why was because Ottawa's downtown was suffering.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why they wanted all the workers back.
Yeah.
Because obviously, the Canadian government's the number one employer in Ottawa. And that's kind of what they're asked them to come back to offices. And people were just like, bro, we know why you're doing this. And this is stupid. But, we always love to feign this for the small businesses when it matters to you.
Yeah.
But it's always interesting. The reason why I'm continuing to ask these types of questions, though, is this is my theory, is that I think the reason why the federal government keeps kind of dragging their feet on these types of projects, if they're not directly involved, Keystone, that type of thing, is I think they're trying to seize the means of production. Trying to keep down private industry as best as they can if they can't control it, and giving them a hard time. That's just the theory based on what behavior I'm seeing.
I don't think so.
Hit me.
I completely disagree, because I think about back in the day when you had things like, was it Petrocan? That was a state-owned oil company, and they sold it off. I don't think that they want control of private industry.
Oh, they already do it today.
Okay, so go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, let's take, for example, the U.S. government working hand in hand with Twitter before Elon took it over. They're not like government owned things anymore, but it's more so how they can control corporations with the law now. And now kind of having a partnership and using the cover of a private industry so that people can't give them a hard time about it. Well, it's a business. We can't, demand them do X, Y, and Z things.
Okay, question back for you.
Yeah.
To what purpose? You're saying that government is interfering with private business, not necessarily taking them over, but through legislation. For what purpose?
Ultimately control, that they can essentially kind of take it back to a comment that Justin made before he became prime minister, right? He loved the Chinese basic dictatorship.
I knew you were going to say that.
Because they could switch their economy on a dime, is what he said. And I think that's kind of part of this, is every business in China has to report back to the Communist Party in some way, shape, or form. And I think that's the type of control they're looking for. Again, I don't have any proof of that, but by behavior and a trend and theme I'm seeing, I'm open to that theory being true. I'm not like a hardcore believer in it, but I'm like, it's plausible.
Yeah. I just don't know if they're that nefarious. I don't know. But what I think though, is I think that there is a degree of control that they want to exert so that they can keep themselves in power.
Yeah.
And if you control where jobs are made, where investments are made, and if you have a riding that, might not be doing so well, and then you can come in and be the savior with the jobs and the investment, then I think that would definitely kind of signal some goodwill towards people and hopefully translate into votes. But when we saw that happen kind of with Alberta, it kind of crashed and burned, because when you mentioned Keystone XL pipeline, that was Justin Trudeau's Hail Mary to Alberta, being like, look, we saved the pipeline, we bought it. And for an exorbitant amount of money against the minister's explicit advice not to buy it. They said, we will never recoup the cost from this. This will never become profitable in our lifetimes. If we paid this amount of money for it, we'll just never recoup that. They're like, that's okay. We're going to buy it anyway.
and Biden came in and said, goodbye.
Yeah.
Right. No, that's fair. I think coming back to another question, which is another second theory, which is more another plausible situations, because something we talked about when it came down to something that happened in the South Shore here in Nova Scotia was the politicking that's going on between premiers and the federal government and prime minister. Getting a tidal company really starting to get something going for energy here in the province would be a huge win for the Conservative government here.
Yeah.
Justin's like, I can't give you that win. Do you think that could be a part of it too?
I would definitely be more willing to lean that way.
Yeah.
Especially just because when you see a conservative government in power and a conservative provincial government, suddenly money flows. Suddenly things are happening. There's investment in infrastructure, like roads are better. Like you've seen it happen. And so when you have opposing parties at the provincial and the federal level, they don't work together. And I think you're exactly right. And like, because I think a lot of times the public gets confused with conservative provincial and conservative federal. So they're like, oh, the conservative government in the province got tidal power going. That's great. Then they're going to vote conservative federal, even though the federal conservatives had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Just because it's like...
They hear conservative.
Yeah. And it's something that just drives me nuts because I'm like,
1-2 go blue.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's... I would definitely agree with that theory more so than the first one.
Yeah, man, we're here throwing out theories. But I honestly, the more I hear myself talk, the more I believe more the second one because of what happened with the fisheries down the South Shore.
Absolutely.
How they essentially,
Like they were like, oh, you voted conservative? Well, then fine. Axed.
Yeah.
We'll allow the sale of this.
yeah, all good to go.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's I mean, even to tie South Shore stuff back to power generation, is there used to be a variety, like I mean, dozens of hydroelectric dams across the South Shore that Nova Scotia Power as an entity abandoned, but they left them, and it has wiped out multiple species of fish that can no longer go upstream to reproduce in the lake. And so where are they now for the environment and for, you know, all the different species of fish and what that means for underwater life and things like that? And it's just so interesting that it's green, it's good for the environment, but then you leave it when you're done with it, like the old toy you got on Christmas.
True.
Yeah. So just a quick question for you, Dalton, because I know that you're a maritimer like me, and I'm just wondering if this might bring up something for like our maritime listeners, but
I love
did
it.
you have fish, like salmon in your classroom growing up?
Oh, no, we didn't.
So we grew up with like always having like the classrooms would have like salmon eggs, and you do like the life cycle of salmon and everything. And then you'd go to like one of the rivers and release them. And it was like, oh yeah, it was a big thing because they were like, we don't understand why the salmon population is disappearing from rivers across the Maritimes.
Oh, yeah.
And so they were literally like doing that with kids in schools, being like, it's a great way to learn life cycles and biology and ecosystem science. And then we can also get them to grow some fish for us.
It's like public service. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. That's like kind of going back to the initial point with the conservative government, as well as if the provincial conservative government were able to get a win on green energy, then that like caused the liberal branding to fall apart on conservatives. They're only here for dirty oil and big business.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's game over. Can't have that.
Well, I had this conversation the other day with someone who was basically like, I want to vote Pierre Poilievre, but I am terrified because of everything that I'm seeing. It's like, he's LGBTQ plus, he's anti-environment, he's anti all these things. I'm like, but is that a case? I'm not going to be like Pierre's fanboy over here, but like, let's challenge that for a second. And then when you actually go like pull up clips of him in his interviews, like he's very clearly saying like, no, I think everybody should love whoever they want to love. You know, I'm not here to take away established rules and things that, you know, hard fought freedoms, I think was the quote that he had said. And then he's like, yeah, we need to be better on the environment. And then he, of course, is like, but the Trudeau carbon tax is awful. And it's like, well, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Totally agree. So it's interesting to watch that media churn out like that narrative. And then it works because we're all consuming it. And then it's like, oh, damn, like, do I continue to put up with like this ridiculous government that we have in power right now? Or do I go to the unknown that I'm being told is scary? So,
Right.
Yeah. That's, I mean, that was the interesting thing back in the 2015 election when, you know, he's just not ready.
Yeah.
That was the branding of Trudeau, right? And that, like, I mean, that's the thing with politics, period, is you have to stoke fear in who your opponent could be for the voter, because that's the only way you're really going to win. Very few times will someone run on hope. Big, elections, regardless of what happened with them in office afterwards, but big elections that kind of stand out are Obama in 2008.
Yeah.
ran on hope and change.
Yes, we can.
Yes,
Yes,
we
his
can.
mantra. Yep.
Exactly. That was another big one, I think, too. And as much as I didn't really like it, much as I wasn't buying into it at the time, I can see why people got on board with it, was Trudeau's election in 2015. He ran on very similar principles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Harper's always sowing divide and this, that, the other. And
Well, Harper, one of the things that he did was he gutted so many services
Yeah.
that people were like,
There's nothing
what are you gonna,
left.
what are you going to leave for us? I mean, one of the things that because I spent quite a few years working in healthcare, epidemiologists in healthcare were just like, he gutted the long form census. Now we can't track disease across our population. It completely ruined years worth of data. And so they were just like, he's done that. And then climate scientists said he was just like, nope, sorry, your funding's done. So it was just like a lot of that. And everybody's like, oh my God, this is happening. And then you got Trudeau coming in and being like, I'll legalize weed for you.
Yeah.
Legalize and decriminalize. And, you'll all be happy and stoned and we'll bring back the people that are doing good work. And you're like, wow, that sounds great. So
I'm here for it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then, and then he gets into power and he's like, I'm going to spend like it's my own personal credit card.
And then, that took away another type of thing for the population, where now we're dealing obviously with like inflation that we've never seen in our
Oh
lifetimes.
yeah, and like bank stocks are just plummeting. Like I've never seen bank stocks like so low, except for like a crash. So
Right. Yeah.
but
It's it's a different, like, he's done things in his tenure as prime minister that I just didn't think were possible.
right,
It's like exceptionally bad.
Yeah, like he's really good at being bad.
Yeah.
we have to go back to that like comment that I sent you today, though.
Oh, gee.
Like thinking about some of the things that Trudeau did, and then thinking about our current strike.
Yeah.
One of the comments that was on the video, like actually showing the strike, was basically them saying, "I wonder if they'll freeze the bank accounts of the strike."
They were blocking roadways. They
Yeah.
were blocking all kinds of ports and stuff recently.
Yep.
Port of entries.
Yep.
Almost like exactly what was happening during the convoy. And then more so. And we're not talking about freezing things.
Yeah.
Cool.
Where's the emergency measures?
Yeah. Where's the emergency?
Bring them in.
Yeah.
Mow them down on Barrington. That's what they would be asking if it was on the other way, right? Get them out of here. Get the horses out.
If it was the other way, I think they would absolutely try and run them over with their vehicles.
Oh, 100% that would happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Saw that happen a few times. Anyways, yeah. When it comes to protest, when it comes to trying to get the public on your side, protest in a lawful manner for the most part, in terms of you want to cause a little bit of disruption to get attention on yourselves.
That's the point.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the point.
Yeah.
But the goal is to cause just enough disturbance to get attention, and then try to get the masses on your side of like why you're fighting for what you're fighting for.
Yeah.
Yes.
The type of protest the workers right now, the Canadian government running at the moment, is just further alienating the population from them, and they're not going to win any credit.
Yeah.
And we all know the media is not going to do them any favors. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Something fun we should do on a future segment of this show is actually like, what are the elements of a good protest? What makes a good protest? Because then you could actually look at like what happened with BLM, what happened with the truckers, what happened with like a lot of the protests that we saw like during COVID, and then even look at this one in future. So just have a little bit of a deep dive, because it might be interesting. There might be things we could learn.
That'd be effective. Absolutely. Well, that was fantastic.
Gee.
But the one thing that came up earlier this week, which I thought was really interesting, was the new mortgage rules they're instituting down south of the border starting in May. So in about a week now. Or sorry, actually, by the time this airs, it'll be game on.
Yeah.
We pull up that article there, Philip.
The CMHC is going to be
New
looking
rules.
at that.
Oh, they're gonna be like
Yeah.
studying it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly, right. And this came up as like a tweet, right, from the Michael Burry stock tracker, and it said, starting May 1st, home buyers with a credit score of 680 or higher will pay a higher mortgage rate to subsidize the cost for home buyers with a lower credit score. The new rule appears to punish home buyers with a strong financial position. And this was kind of a screenshot of a Fox report. It says a 620 FICO score gets a 1.75% fee discount. 740 FICO score pays a 1% fee. And yes, you did hear that right.
Yeah.
Yeah. As in, if you're doing better in the credit game,
You're getting penalized.
sucks to suck.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that does suck. But one thing I want to like go back to, if we think about it, it's like, who is determining these credit scores? Like, we have private industries that are determining what your credit score is. And I know from my own credit scores, because like I just bought a house recently, and so it's been very top of mind. And one of the things I was looking at, it's like, if you open an account and then pay it off, that negatively impacts your credit score.
Yes.
But if you keep just enough balance on there that you're constantly feeding the bank, you know, their interest, that's a positive for your credit score. So it's like, I think that if they're going to change the mortgage structure, they need to change the credit score rating structure, because I don't think that the people who are running the credit score scoring system, whatever that card is, and that they're not releasing, it's proprietary information that they're not releasing to the public. They don't tell you how they score you. They just say, here's the things that kind of go into this soup, and we'll give you a score at the end of it. They're not releasing that to the public. So if they're going to make something that's going to impact your life so dramatically, like, there's got to be some reckoning for that, I think.
I definitely agree. I think there's a big part of it too with the story, because as you said, the people who essentially make the rules on your credit score are also reaping the benefits.
Oh yeah.
You know, and it's like, okay, why is there a lack of transparency? Why don't we know how this all works? Obviously it's, you know, designed for us to be stupid.
Right.
And not be aware of what's happening. And it's like, hey, I keep paying things off. And I mean, I'll talk even, what was it? A story that happened personally where I had a friend who just had like a lot of debt, and he paid it all off. And, wrong story. It happened to my brother-in-law, where they were raised on, you know, you're never supposed to have a credit card. Credit is bad. Credit is the devil. Yeah, they'll get you, and your mom too. And so he just, you know, went through life just always paying things on his debit card all the time, until he came to the point where he wanted to buy a house. And there's like, we're not giving you a mortgage, dog. And he's like, why not? It's like, because you don't have any credit history. He's like, but I've been paying everything cash my whole life. Isn't that a good thing? And they're like, no.
Yeah.
We want to track you. We want to know what your buying habits are like. We want to understand how you deal with debt and keep paying money to us. And it shocked his system, unfortunately. And he then had to spend 2 years trying to build up a credit profile so that he could then buy a house. That's the system for you. It doesn't make sense. You know,
It does make sense. It's
To a degree.
It's to keep the banks collecting money, right?
yeah, exactly.
So
Yep.
Exactly.
it's one of those things that I think we talked about, the three of us over dinner the other night. It's like, the banks are not your friend. Like, they're there to make money, and they have their advisors,
Right.
their financial people that are there to then make as much money as humanly possible off you, and to sell you different credit instruments and investment instruments to continue that money flow. Give you enough that you won't revolt, but keep that money flowing in so that the shareholders of the bank are happy.
Dude, we were talking about this before the show, where I had a moment today that I got so angry. I got so angry today.
Angry?
Yeah,
What?
how dare I get angry?
I would never imagine that. Like,
I get a text from my sister, and she's like, "Hey, Josh, have you ever heard of Easy Financial?"
oh no.
That's what I said.
Oh no.
That's what I said too.
Think about the word easy.
Yeah.
If it's got easy, like, that's never been a good descriptor.
No,
Like,
exactly. And
Why
so,
is it so easy?
yeah. People, credit, like, no.
and so I was like, "What's going on? Like, what's happening?" And she was just like, "Yeah, just, you know, essentially, unfortunately, it's that time of year. So my sister got absolutely ravaged by the CRA, had to pay out a bunch of money, and didn't know what to do, and so obviously then had to pull out a loan, or looking to pull out a loan to kind of pay her tax bill, essentially." And she called me and was like, "Hey, so these are the only guys that will give me a loan at the moment. Just wondering, have you heard of them? What's up?" And I was like, "So they're not a bank. They are a loan company.
Payday loans.
Essentially what they are,
Yeah,
with
loan
nice
shark.
with nice packaging,
Yep.
and make it look like they care about you." And I was like, did you talk to them yet? And she's like, "Yeah, I just got off the phone with like a representative." And I was like, "Okay, so what's the interest they're charging you?"
Get ready.
46%.
Oh my God.
I was like, oh heck no. That was the moment I was like, all right, I'm just gonna pull money off of my line of credit, and I'll give it to you at a certain interest rate, and that will be dramatically better than 46%.
Yeah.
And I was like, Brianna, I'm so happy that you called me, Because like I would have been so mad if a member of my household got caught up in that type of scheme, because I would feel like a failure as a brother in that scenario.
Yeah.
That you think that you had to go to that before you could come to me.
And you think about like who they're targeting to.
Yeah.
Like they're targeting people, one, who may not know or, just might not have that like financial background.
Yeah.
They're targeting people who are desperate. They're targeting people who are, poor. And then they just keep them in these cycles of poverty. And it's just, I think they're criminal. I don't think they should
I think
exist.
they are criminal.
I don't know how they exist.
But the problem is like when you think about like the necessity of it all, it comes back to that question of credit score. Who's determining the credit score? Who's saying that you can lend money, right? And so if the bank is saying, they're turning up their nose and saying, no, we're not going to lend to you. What do you do in that situation?
Yeah.
You're stuck with this massive bill and the CRA is like, you got to pay it. But I do think though, in that case, like you actually don't have to pay the CRA back like immediately. Like it's something that they'll actually work out over time and just, they'll charge you like the whatever interest rate of the day, but it's still better than 46%.
Yeah. I think with the CRA, you have to file for an installment, but it's not always approved. Like they didn't approve my installment when it happened to me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which I thought was, then I had to do the same thing. I had to go get a line of credit.
Well, that's interesting because it's like, well, then what do you do if like you just can't? You're like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was 18.
You declined me my installments and I can't pay it back. I can't make money come out of nowhere. So
I'm
go
not
fly
Trudeau.
a kite.
Yeah.
Right.
Can't print none.
Go talk to Ukraine. I hear they have some money flying around,
See what Zelensky has to say about that.
Yeah. Well, isn't he being audited?
Yeah, for embezzlement.
Yeah, that's terrible. So 2 theories on that. One, dude was like, there's a lot of money coming in. I'm doing a lot of work. I'm going to just take a little bit for myself.
Yeah.
Second theory, is this all like propaganda that he's being investigated for embezzlement? It's like he's actually innocent and it's just a distraction.
Because either are equally plausible.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I lean towards it being actually criminal because there's been so much corruption coming out of Ukraine since like 2014 with the United States. It goes way back to like, Obama's term, the stuff that was going on with Ukraine and the U.S. And I do believe there's a lot of money embezzlement going on between the two countries.
Yeah, where was Hunter Biden hiding out? Wasn't he like over in Europe somewhere?
Yeah, well, like Biden's got a whole entanglement with Ukraine as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
The Clinton Foundation used to sell, I think it was radium to Russia.
Yep.
So,
And then, Hunter was on the board of an energy company in Ukraine.
right. Yeah.
That's how that all worked out.
And he's on quote saying we have to pay the big guy.
Yeah. Not him, but there was,
Sorry, someone was on quote saying we have to pay the big guy. Talking about Biden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I think there's some embezzlement going on there. Just the billions and billions. And then you found out with all the stuff that happened with the Discord chat and
The fact that it was in a Discord chat.
I know. Isn't that wild?
How 2023?
but just to hear like that we're like getting just absolutely wrecked over there and we keep funding this cause. It's crazy.
And meanwhile, we have the worst homelessness crisis that we've ever had. Like,
And even let's say we 100% take the side of the people on strike right now. Let's say we 100% unequivocally agree with them. And we see the money we're giving to Ukraine as Canadians. Say we had no other better, say housing, healthcare, everything was fixed, and all we need to do was pay these people. He still gave it to Ukraine.
True.
As if there aren't other issues that we need to fix, like healthcare and housing.
Shout out Courtney Boyce on that one too.
it's interesting. Like I can totally understand where you'd be like, okay, you've got these well-paid civil servants. You've got an active war zone with people like dying and in the streets. Basically, their homes are being bombed. It's like I could see wanting to give money to like put out the biggest fire, you know, from a global community kind of standpoint. But right now, it's like even when you think about like the Ukrainians that are coming to Canada, they're still on the streets. They're still without homes. They're still like struggling to like make it through our system. I was in the emergency room 2 weeks ago, and
same.
And
Twins.
Anyway, but yeah, I was in the emergency room, and this Ukrainian couple, like they were struggling to use our healthcare system. Like they had two nurses tied up trying to like figure out how to help them. And I was like, how is this good? How is this a model for like, welcome to Canada? You know, we're bringing you here with open arms. We're going to save the day kind of thing. I just think it's kind of made it a mess.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe
now sleep on the floor to merge.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Maybe they
Yeah.
could have started a chocolate company. Who knows? So
Ooh.
Oh, you've always take it there.
Yeah. Why? Why?
I mean, why? It's true.
He's traveling the world right now.
Yeah, good for him. I'm happy for him. Super stoked for
you
him.
should be happy with that. That's a small business that made it successful.
Totally.
Don't be one of those Maritimers that hates on success of other Maritimers.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'm not doing that. My point is the fact that Justin Trudeau keeps pointing to stats from 2016 of look at the Canadian dream and look what he's doing to immigrants today.
Yeah,
That's
fair.
my issue with it.
Yeah, he didn't immigrate to here right now. He did it at the beginning of Trudeau's.
Yeah, when things were still
Terror.
going decently.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like as I said, no hate to him. I have no issue with the life he's provided for his family through coming to Canada. I think that's fantastic. I think it's a great success story.
Yeah.
It's just the constant, like even today, still Trudeau will bring him to Biden's in Ottawa. Let's bring him out. Look at the success story we've done here in Canada.
The one.
Dude, that was 7 years ago. What? 6 years ago. Like, bro.
Starting a business is like one of the most daunting things you could do.
Absolutely.
And so now someone say moves here from Ukraine, they can't even find a house. How can you start a business if you don't even have a house?
Exactly.
Where do you run the business out of? You don't even have anywhere to live.
And start a SaaS company, bro.
Yeah. Oh my God. Become a tech bro. Oh, well.
No, but you make a very good point. Things are drastically different than they were back in 2015. And
Yeah.
But you know the media machine, as soon as one of the Ukrainian refugees starts a
Does
business,
something.
they're going to be
Oh.
like, look at the success that we had. And it's like, meanwhile, like
thousands are on
Yeah.
the street. Right.
When the whole Ukraine thing started, I guess now that we're going on almost a year, aren't we?
Yeah,
Yep.
over a year now.
Over a year. It was around this time though. Last year, I had a couple properties that were for lease, and they obviously go very quickly. But I had a call from a Ukrainian woman who was on the phone crying and just like begging, "Will you pick me? Will you pick me?" And I was like, "What do I do?" Like, what a moral dilemma. I was like, someone else got it. Like I feel like, what do I do? This isn't my problem to fix, but I just thought, wow, like you came here and now you're crying to find somewhere to live. Is that better? Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess you're not in a war-torn country, but you're homeless. I don't know if that's better.
It's a good thing the federal budget has a lot in there on housing and homelessness.
Drew.
Yeah.
Yeah, good for them. Really happy for them.
Yeah.
We look good on paper, don't we? We're the Canadian dream, baby.
Well, that's obviously we look good on paper. Otherwise, they wouldn't come here. We must look good on paper.
Yeah. Oh, we look amazing on paper, dude. It's also just like we also float. We continue to hold on to the little bit that's left of like the West is dominant. And we ride that wave where it's like, come on, it's obviously better in the West. Come
Like
on
white
over
knighting
here.
the whole situation.
Well, it's that egalitarian like
right.
mantra that where we're just like, oh yeah, like we have freedom, people are cared for.
Yeah.
And it's like, are they?
Yeah.
You look at like the Scandinavian countries and you're like, that looks more like what people being cared for looks like. So Philip liked that one.
Yeah.
Shout out Norway. Why'd I move here? True. You're on the street too, are you? No, I'm just kidding. That was the moment. You caught that? Did you catch that? That Josh actually used his filter. Didn't say something he wanted to say.
Oh my gosh.
Look at him go.
You've elevated yourself.
Oh my gosh.
Gee, let's go. But back to what the original point was, them raising rates on people who are having a good credit score when you're trying to get a mortgage.
Right.
What the heck is going on with that, bro? Like that is bonkers to me. And
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand the thought process. And I'm talking about thought process in general, whether it be nefarious or not. What is the thought process of trying to, unless it's, I mean, under the guise of, we're trying to bring equity to the system.
Right.
Yeah,
That's the advertised.
Yeah.
It
Right.
feels very like tax the rich, but it's like it's not the rich. They're going to be affected. That's the middle class, and you're really just bringing the middle class farther out of the middle class.
And creating more of a divide too amongst the classes.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. It's like, how do you pit each other? How do you pit them against each other? It's like the people who are going to be affected with, I think, with 740 or above are going to be, as I would too, angry at the system and angry at those that I think maybe should have a higher credit score but don't and are benefiting from the system. And so it would be hard for me to not separate my anger and judgment rightfully so, when you're paying an extra point on an already expensive home. So obviously that's concerning. And to your point, it's not the elite. The elite have holding companies on holding companies that hold these mortgages that are not going to be impacted by these rules at all. Trusts own half their properties anyway.
Yeah.
Rich people, elite people own nothing. They own one share to a company that owns a trust.
And they're so
That's
happy.
it.
And that company is based out of the Caymans,
Yeah.
out of Bahamas,
Yeah.
out of Panama.
It doesn't even exist here.
Yeah.
There's a revocable trust that means whatever you want to do to it, they can snap their finger and it doesn't exist. So it's just going to, like, everyday people have a 740 credit score. That's not absurd.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, I have over 740.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you both probably do as well.
I think so.
Yeah.
So it's like an extra point on my mortgage could mean a lot to someone like me.
Yeah.
That would mean,
Especially on houses like $1 million. Like,
God
Yeah.
forbid you just bought a, well, for example,
I did
you
just buy
bought
it.
a home.
I did just buy a
in
house.
HRM, and they're expensive here. An extra point on that mortgage completely skews your affordability.
why is it an extra point, bro? 1.75.
Right. And that could actually,
Oh, I thought it said 1 point fee.
1 point if you are below. You get 1
Yeah.
point deduction
1.75.
and 1.7. Sorry,
it.
my bad.
That's
Sorry,
the
my bad.
discount.
1.75 discount. 1% fee. Yeah, you're right.
1%. Still,
Yeah.
1% still
Yeah.
a lot of money on $500,000-$600,000.
Huge.
And when you think about that, like that could affect your debt ratio, because that was the big thing that like,
Yes, it will.
we were kind of like struggling with, was the fact that we were like, okay, we have these student loans that are interest free,
Right.
that we could pay off with our savings, but it doesn't make any sense for us to do that because
It's free money.
it's free money. Like, why would we do that?
Yeah.
I can stick my money into an investment account and have it make me more, and just
Yes.
pay the bare minimum over time to my student loan. But
Yes.
because the banks were like, no, we count that as a part of your debt ratio. You need to pay it off. We need you to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Because in Canada, the one credit product that you cannot go bankrupt with is a student loan.
Yep.
You cannot file bankruptcy
Right.
without paying a student loan. You have to pay it. It will exist post bankruptcy.
Isn't
Yeah.
that something, man?
It's crony capitalism.
Agreed. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
they sell you the dream of like, yeah, you're
Free profit in the free market and all this stuff, and it's like,
well, it's not even that. I'm just talking about just students who are coming out. It's like you get a degree, you'll
Oh.
be guaranteed a job, which obviously people see through now, clear as day now.
that
But
was
like,
the sales pitch though.
but yeah, late aughts, that was still like people believed in that. I was like, yeah, I got this degree, I'll be Gucci.
That's all I need, the piece of paper, and I'll have a 6-figure career in finance.
And I just still find it interesting that the people who complain about their student loans still keep going to school.
Because you're told, again, you're like,
Get
you
a
know what?
higher level.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
So, because I have a master's degree, and one of the things that I was told was like, you have to realize it's credentialism. Like your undergrad is now equivalent to your high school, but the master's, now that is something that's going to be like,
That's
going
the
to set you
Cadillac.
apart. And you're like, oh, okay, I'll go get a master's. And so you did, and then you go back out and you're like, God damn it, that was a total lie.
You needed a PhD, lol.
And I was like
You're
looking
not
at
a
my
doctor.
yeah, I was looking at my younger brother, and he was like just started a job, and he has his undergrad, and I'm like, bro, you're making like only $3,000 less than I'm making, and I have like I have 2 degrees, I have a certificate in like project management, and I was like, what the hell?
What are you, a sandwich artist over here?
Yeah, exactly, right.
Tough times, man.
Nonprofits, boo.
We're serving the people. We're here for it, man. Keep serving the people, dude.
I do enjoy it. I do enjoy the work that I do. I think I would enjoy it a little bit more if it just like up the pay a bit. But
Yeah, that's what
maybe I
Trudeau
should go on
said.
strike. You know?
Yeah, true.
True.
Oh my gosh.
Get on. But yeah, no, I definitely think that's a good point. I mean, Trudeau said that and he gave himself a raise, so I think it works.
Yeah.
Just manifest it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, make vision boards.
Or print money. You know.
Yeah, oh, true.
Whoever's closest to the printer gets all the money.
Oh gosh.
Dude, I was actually something that Keegan brought up on the show once upon a time that like I still sticks with me. And it's a great point. I know it's like a well-known fact, but it's always stuck with me. It's like whoever's closest to the printer gets the biggest benefit because they're not affected by the inflation that they've created.
No.
Absolutely right.
So yeah, they balling. Gee, I'll be printing that sucker, putting that all into Bitcoin, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, Trudeau's not hard up for money
No,
in the slightest.
yeah, he's doing A-okay.
Yeah.
Well, didn't he inherit the whole Castro fortune?
Oh my gosh.
I still can't believe this hour's 22 minutes brought that up.
I know.
That was iconic. Oh, you really just said that to his face.
Real talk, man. Well, as we wind down here, we took a question from one of the homies out here.
Oh, I love it.
And not even a question, it was actually a comment from our last episode. And
From our guy Rick.
yeah, boy Rick.
Shout out Rick, man.
Shout out Rick, man. I mean, I'll be honest, yeah, it was I appreciate the criticism, the way he did it. We've talked about this on the show before.
Yeah, he could have been way more rude.
Yeah.
was-
But I mean,
It was
hey,
level-headed.
we'll read it. It was level-headed and it made sense. This is from Rick. He says, I understand where she tried to go with the conversation with Adriana last week, but she needs to take a second to compose her thoughts. Hope you guys give her some tips. And I'm like, I'm sorry, dog. I have no tips to give because I'm not that good at it either.
Yeah, it took me 3 years to stop saying so much. Like, who am I to give anyone tips on?
So cut half of them out.
Yeah, exactly.
Trure. Yeah, Philip just still edits our ums and ahs out.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why we stopped doing them.
Yeah.
Surprise. But yeah, no, Rick, we thank you for commenting. We appreciate it. It is seen. And as we said before,
I hope you feel seen, Rick.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not even being facetious on that. I'm like, generally, we've talked about it before. As long as people aren't mean, you can criticize us all you want, or criticize our guests all you want. Like, that's fine. That's okay. As long as you do it respectfully, we're okay here for it.
Yeah.
Well, because that's the thing, right? Is respectful criticism is caring.
Yeah.
It's actually very helpful.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because like when you think about people who just like, you got people who like absolutely love the show that are going to give you all the positive comments, and that's amazing.
Yeah.
And then you got people who just like give you mindless hate. And you're like, great, you just needed to vent about
Yeah, we
your
were
life
we
problems.
were the strong.
You were the
held back
conduit.
today. Yeah.
Shout out early Pete.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then when you get
Oh no. Poor guy.
but then when you get those people that are just like, I'm taking a couple seconds because I think like, yeah, this could have been better. Like that's somebody who actually cares.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
respect those
Yeah.
people.
Thank you, Rick. Appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to let us know.
Respectful Rick.
Truth.
And yeah, it's true. Probably Adriana. She told us that.
She was
after the show.
outright, yeah,
She
she
told
was-
us that that's something she struggles with, and we could have done better as interviewers. So
I think
here we
she was 21.
yeah,
I mean, like, it comes with time.
yeah,
It
exactly,
also just comes with time.
exactly.
Yeah.
What was everybody else doing at 21, right? So
Dude, I was making millions out here. I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, he does drive a Tesla. So.
Yeah. Josh went on strike once too. Let's talk about that. Loser.
Best time of my life.
Gee.
Should we tell that story?
What? Oh,
Go
sure.
for it. Yeah.
All right, we'll end off the show with this story of when I went on strike. Back when I lived in Toronto, worked for Parks and Rec, and we are part of the same union as the garbage people, and
Sanitation.
yeah,
Sorry.
the sanitation engineers. My bad. And so I just worked, summer camps essentially was what I was doing as a student. And one greasy, hot summer in Toronto, all the garbage people were just like, yeah, so we're going on strike. And so we had to go on strike with them. And it was a disgusting summer. There's garbage in the streets.
I remember hearing about that.
It was brutal, bro. So anyways, the only way we could make some money that summer and salvage what we could get was the union would pay us to picket. And so we, as my coworkers at the time was like, all right, well, how do we make the most of the situation? And we ended up finding a hack. So we did is we had to go to a site every night, and they'd kind of disperse us. Like, you're going to be at this site, you're going to be at this site. And so we always made sure we got the night shift, and we always did overnight. And we asked them to put us in the most remote place they could find. And that's what we did every night. We could only picket. They only allowed us to picket 4 nights a week. And so that's what I was doing, midnight to 6 a.m. picketing. And we're just in the middle of middle of Toronto, but no one's going there. It was where they park their trucks, for example, is one of the scenarios where all right, it's a side of town, no one's really traveling in. So no one's going to be coming checking on us. So we just played football all night, played chess, played some cards, cranked some music. And that's what I did. The garbage strike summer was just do all-nighters
I love it.
for the cause.
I love it.
So I was like, but yeah, they paid us $400 a night.
A night?
Wow.
Dude.
Oh.
Yeah. It was
Wait, that's sick.
It was significant money.
That's sick.
I was like, yeah, fair enough. So I'll take it.
There you go.
So
$400 each?
yeah. I'm like, hey, those union dues went somewhere at least. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So I don't know. I'm curious if any of the government workers that are picketing right now. I wonder if they're getting paid for it.
Oh,
There was comments about $75 a day or something like that. So
Gee.
I don't know.
What is
if
this, Nigeria?
I don't know if it's going to be.
Brutal.
Don't know if it's a lot.
Yeah, that's tough, man.
so how long? I guess that poses an interesting question: is how long can they go until they need the money?
That's a good question.
Like,
I guess it depends on what kind of salary you have
yeah.
to start with.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah, it's gonna be. That could get ugly really quick.
like how long do you go until you start facing the ramifications of being on strike and not getting full salary?
Seriously.
Well, one of the comments that came out was like, they're like, we want Trudeau to come speak to the protesters. I
Yeah.
was like,
Oh, I heard that before.
That ain't going to happen. Good luck.
What?
When you figure out how to make that happen, like maybe it's chartering a private jet to Tofino. I hear he likes it there.
Or you might get a drastic case of COVID here soon. So
Yeah.
who
Yeah,
knows?
yeah, that's right.
That was like
Have to
one
go
of
to cottage.
Andrew Scholes' stand up on Trudeau was probably my favorites during that time.
Oh, I don't think I heard it.
No, I didn't either.
All right, we're gonna end the show with this one.
Okay.
Andrew Scholes talks Justin Trudeau in Toronto, essentially. Those who've heard it before, enjoy this again. This is great. And those who haven't, enjoy.
Oh,
Yo,
wow.
Punjabis, be honest. When Trudeau did the Punjabi face, and what was more offensive? Did he put on the turban or he made y'all dark skin? Which was more offensive? Yeah. There's a bunch of Punjabis in the group chat like, yo, how the fuck are you gonna make us Sri Lankan, bro? This is crazy. We're from the north of India. We're fair skinned. We light skinned Indians over here. Get it right, Trudeau. You want this guy Trudeau? Shut the fuck up, this guy. Does anybody, I mean, honest, does anybody like him? Nobody likes him, right? I know, that's funny. Scared of some truckers. You saw that shit. Oh, I have COVID. I can't come out here. You fucking pussy, dude. What a fucking pussy. Dude, what a pussy. His dad would be so embarrassed, dude. Because Fidel Castro was all about protest. Yo, you know what I gotta say? It's been really nice to watch Toronto get its confidence. Because when I started coming here, you guys were like polite, sweet, Canadians, apologetic about everything, but just like so accommodating. And now you're just fucking Jamaican, and that's great. And that's great.
I remember this on
Fucking,
TikTok.
we watch one Top Boy, and we're all Jamaican. It doesn't matter who it is. Little white kids like, fam. Come on, fam. Fam. The gal them at Timmy's. Come on, fam. Reach Timmy's. The gal them is wet and horny, fam. Come on, fam.
That's very much
Timmy's
it.
right now.
That's great.
Absolutely iconic.
True.
But
Spadina McDonald's.
iconic.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But yeah, so thank you all for joining us for another episode. It was fantastic to have all of you. So those who are members, we'll see you on Thursday one more time. But whatever it is you're doing, whether you be trying tidal bore rafting,
Oh my gosh. Or not working on your credit score.
Or picketing.
Oh, true.
Or forgetting your camera.
Oh, true.
whatever it is you're doing,
Where you are.
we love
We're
you.
out.
Peace.